safe, to serve those in the most vulnerable.
Welcome. It is 7:30 in the evening in India and we are back again with a spotlight on G20. Our lens today is on digital economy under the ambit of G20. Before we come to India's priorities as G20 chair in the realm of digital technology, I have a question for you. Do you know that only 50 countries have digital payment systems today, and citizens of most developing countries do not have any kind of digital identity, though we have Aadhaar in India? Now, since India is seeing a digital revolution and has also helped countries during the COVID-19 pandemic through digital solutions like CoWIN, which it is using for implementation of its COVID-19 vaccination drive, on India at G20, we asked today, will India's G20 president take its digital revolution to those low and middle income countries that are grappling with a huge digital divide even today? I'm Manu Bhattacharya. Let's get straight to the story of India's socio-economic transformation driven by the power of digital technology and digital access, and the opportunity that being the president of G20 presents to India to share its experiences and best practices with the rest of the world.
आज भारत डिजिटल लेन-देन में दुनिया में नंबर 1 है। आज भारत ग्लोबल फिनटेक के मामले में दुनिया में नंबर 1 है। आज भारत आईटी बीपीएन के लिए आउटसोर्सिंग में दुनिया में नंबर 1 है। आज भारत स्मार्टफोन डेटा कंजम्पशन में दुनिया में नंबर 1 है।
These words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi encapsulate the digital revolution underway in India. PM was addressing the Indian diaspora in Indonesia, where he had attended the G20 summit in November 2022. During the summit, PM had addressed a session on digital transformation, where he spoke about how digital technology can be a force multiplier in the decades-long global fight against poverty. If digital access is made truly inclusive and digital technology really widespread across the world, sharing India's experience of using digital public infrastructure as a public good, he said, India's experience of the past few years has shown us that if we make digital architecture inclusive, it can bring about socio-economic transformation. Digital use can bring scale and speed. Transparency can be brought in governance. India has developed digital public goods whose basic architecture has inbuilt democratic principles. These solutions are based on open source, open APIs, open standards, which are interoperable and public. This is our approach based on the digital revolution that is going on in India today. Take, for example, our Unified Payment Interface or UPI. Sharing how India leveraged digital technology for its COVID-19 vaccination drive, PM Modi said, our open source CoWIN platform made the biggest vaccination campaign in human history a success even during the pandemic. CoWIN is a unique digital platform that supports India's COVID-19 vaccination drive, helping the program managers in registration and tracking of every beneficiary and vaccination event, along with real-time information on the available vaccine stocks, storage temperature, actual vaccination process and generation of digital certificates. The system ensured no scope for favoritism, VIP culture or jumping the queue. India used CoWIN, an open source platform for its people, and extended it as a digital public good to the world. Now CoWIN platform is being integrated with Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, the backbone of India's digital healthcare system. As a result of that, doctors and medical professionals may soon be able to manage appointments and maintain patient records over the vaccine platform. At the Bali summit, the PM also expressed concern over the digital divide at the international level. He noted, in India, we are making digital access public, but at the international level, there is still a huge digital divide. Citizens of most developing countries of the world do not have any kind of digital identity. Only 50 countries have digital payment systems. Setting the ball rolling on India's G20 engagements in the realm of digital economy, Wednesday saw Union Minister of Communications, Electronics and IT Ashwini Vaishnav launch the G20 Global Digital Innovation Alliance and Stay Safe Online campaign.
These two programs basically point towards the two most important threads that we are facing in the digital world today: cybersecurity and the great potential of our startup. This G20 will be presenting our India's philosophy to the world, the philosophy of one earth, one family, and one future, which is a very inclusive way of thinking, which is a very humanitarian way of thinking, which is a way of thinking which believes in the oneness of the entire humanity.
At the launch, India's G20 Sherpa, Amitabh Kant spoke about how solutions provided by India have the potential to move people out of poverty around the world.
These two programs, Stay Safe Online and Digital Innovation Alliance programs, are the first amongst the first programs to be launched worldwide by G20 as a G20 initiative by any ministry. India's digital model is very unique. It's based on this public tracks on top of which private sector innovates. These are open source, these are open APIs, they are interoperable. So as this model of India spreads across the world, I think one of the key things will be how do we make people stay safe online? And that is that everyone must have the awareness and the tools to stay safe online.
The objective of the Stay Safe Online campaign is to raise awareness among citizens to stay safe in the online world due to the widespread use of social media platforms and the rapid adoption of digital payments. Whereas the G20 Digital Innovation Alliance aims to identify, recognize and enable the adoption of innovative and impactful digital technologies developed by startups from G20 nations as well as invited non-member nations, which can address the needs of humanity in critically important sectors of agri-tech, health tech, ed-tech, fintech, secure digital infrastructure and circular economy. As G20 President, India now has the opportunity to scale up its digital transformation to benefit the entire humanity. Bureau Report, DD India.
And joining us for Perspective now is Abhishek Singh. He is CEO of Digital India Corporation. I welcome you, Mr. Singh, on the special broadcast India at G20. We are aware of the priorities as far as digital economy is concerned under India's presidency in the G20 framework. One of them is sharing India's experiences and best practices of using digital public infrastructure as a public good. And I'm given to understand that India is looking at offering a framework of sorts in which other G20 countries and low and middle income countries who may not be part of the G20 would be able to build similar DPI for their use. Is that right? And also tell us about some of the path-breaking success stories, because you were earlier the CEO of MyGov and currently you are the CEO of Digital India Corporation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. In fact, what you mentioned is very right. Our experience of implementing digital solutions for solving societal problems at population scale is something that is unparalleled in the world. Of course, we are world's largest democracy, and the challenges that we have in addressing issues related to healthcare, related to education, related to skilling is much more complex than anywhere else. But we built the world's largest biometric database in the form of the Aadhaar, which gave identity to people, which enabled financial inclusion, which allowed people to open bank accounts, the no-frills bank account, which we call the Jan Dhan bank accounts, and that ensured that people could not only have access to banking services, but also to credit, and also ensured them to become part of the country's economic system. So this, along with other initiatives that we built, like the DigiLocker project, or the COVID vaccination platform, or the Diksha project for education, or the eSanjeevani telemedicine project, these are projects which can easily be replicated in any other country. So with this in objective, in July of this year, our Honorable Prime Minister launched the India Stack.global, which is like one portal which is available in all 6 UN languages, whether it's Spanish, Russian, French, or Arabic or Mandarin. Is available in all UN languages, and that gives a window to any country which is looking at studying or examining these solutions. And then we have also been conducting India Stack workshops, in which tech leaders from across the world join us and learn about these projects. So given the G20's presidency, it's an opportune time for showcasing these solutions to the global community and ensuring that any country which is interested in replicating, say, a UPI or an Aadhaar kind system, or a eSanjeevani telemedicine solution, or a Diksha solution, can get in touch with the actual implementers of these projects, learn about them. Our Prime Minister has directed us to make all solutions open source and offer it as a digital public good to the global community at large. We already have a lot of interest from several countries from across the world. Our teams are in touch with them, and what we feel is that G20 will be a good opportunity in which we will exchange information. There are some projects which we will learn from other countries also, but largely the whole initiative about building a global public digital goods repository, we will be an active participant in that and contribute to this repository, which will help the entire humanity across the world, and low and medium income countries can benefit a lot from this.
Right. Mr. Singh, taking off from where you left, share with us some of the experiences as far as sharing India's success stories with the world is concerned. You mentioned the CoWIN platform, for instance, and that was made an open source platform as well, like so many others. And the know-how for CoWIN, which is the platform through which India has been carrying out the world's largest COVID-19 vaccination drive, was made available to countries that were interested, free of cost. So how many lives has that impacted? Because we are aware of the kind of impact that COVID-19 has had on lives, and making a vaccination administration platform, so to say, widely available would have made a huge difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. It has. In fact, in India, it has transformed the way we have addressed the vaccination challenge, because the vaccinating 1 billion people was a huge challenge, especially when we had 2 different vaccines, when the time interval between different vaccines was different, because most people tend to forget what vaccine they had taken, when is the next dose due, when they have to take the precautionary dose or the booster dose. So it required a tech platform, and this tech platform was developed by our tech teams in very short time. The National Health Authority led it, and it helped in addressing the vaccination challenge. And now the same platform is being repurposed into becoming a universal vaccination platform. So just like we were able to track the COVID vaccination, we will be able to track the BCG vaccines, DPT, polio, measles, rubella. So the entire vaccination program will be offered on this. And this will also give immense use to the global community. Right,
we'll come back to you. Also joining us is Dr. R.S. Sharma, CEO of National Health Authority. Mr. Sharma, we were discussing the CoWIN platform and how it's impacting various countries and billions of people around the world. Share with us some of your experiences of how countries and people have been impacted, how India helped countries in distress through the CoWIN platform.
No, I think Abhishek, the last sentences which I heard from Abhishek, I think he has explained it very well, that the CoWIN platform basically created a very, very democratic architecture where, in a country like India, if you did not have a technology backbone to ensure, to do the vaccination, there would have been a huge amount of confusion because of the different literacies, standard, different diversity, diverse country. It would not have been possible to really monitor each and every person's, vaccination status, number one. Number two, it would not have been possible to bring about portability into the system, which means that you can have first vaccine dose in Trivandrum and second one at Delhi. Those kinds of things would not have happened. And CoWIN platform made everything possible. It basically provided interoperability because we initially itself we published the API standards, and that resulted into a large number of players, connecting to our platform. So people did not have to download any specific applications, whether they had a Paytm or they have some other application. As many as 150 applications are connected with us. So we created a platform which is based on open standards, open APIs, and even open source. And that being the case, we were able to track and trace almost everybody's, vaccination status. We were able to everybody was able to download the certificate, which is digitally verifiable. So I think all this has given us a huge kind of experience in developing a digital technology platform for a population scale of 1.3 billion. And now, as Abhishek rightly pointed out, we are now repurposing it not only as a universal vaccination platform, but also we are now creating a free HMIS for doctors, where a small clinic doctors can use that to publish their calendars of availability, also can create prescriptions and stuff like that. We are also repurposing it for even the blood banks and also for donor, the organ donation platform. And as our Prime Minister, we had a digital conclave on 5th of July last year.
Yes.
And there, as many as 147 countries participated in that. And our Prime Minister made the announcement that it is now we are giving to the world as a gift, as a digital public goods. And one country has already signed, and many countries are in the pipeline to sign the MOU to get the open source version of the COVID platform.
Absolutely. So India is repurposing the digital innovations it had come up with during the COVID-19 vaccination drive. Particularly, you're telling us about how this is being integrating, COVID is being integrated with the Ayushman Bharat digital health mission. Mr. Singh, another priority other than sharing India's experiences of using DPI or digital public infrastructure for public good is also securing cyberspace. So I understand that there will be discussions on challenges in the security domain, digitally speaking, and also curating solutions for any future threats. We are aware of the kind of cyber attacks that have been happening. For instance, the AIIMS hospital was also a victim of a cyber attack. So tell us more about what to expect under India's presidency on that. Also, is the Stay Safe online campaign launched by MeitY yesterday a part of that?
Yes, in fact, cybersecurity is one of the key pillars in our entire digital transformation strategy, and more so for the G20 conclave that we are happening. So the Digital Economy Working Group, which will focus primarily on digital technologies and how they impact humanity. There are three key verticals there, where of course the first one is digital public infrastructure, about we are just talking, and the second one is of course cyber security, and third is digital skilling and future of work. So cyber security remains a concern for not only India but the entire global community, because as we go online, as we do digital transactions, the risk that is there for attacks on critical infrastructure at the government level at one hand, and for the citizens on the other hand, that they can be prone to phishing, they can be prone to physical crimes, they can be prone to harassment, bullying, sexual crimes. All of these become a threat. So towards this objective, India has had a lot of experience. So we are one of those countries which is probably subjected to the most number of cyber attacks from our friendly neighborhood countries. So we have had our CERTIN and our cybersecurity coordinators, this entire office have got a lot of expertise in handling with that. We work very closely with the global countries which are also subject to such programs, and G20 will be an opportunity to exchange notes, to strategies, and what all can be done to ensure that we remain secure. The second campaign that we launched yesterday along with the Digital Innovation Alliance was on Stay Safe Online, because as we use more and more apps, more and more technologies, we do financial transactions, it's very, very important to ensure that every citizen, and not only of India, but the entire global community, knows the risks which are there, what to do, what not to do, what happens when you scan a QR code, whether money is debited from your account or money is credited, what are the risks with not having a secure password, how to handle OTPs. So these are things which will be shared across social media and across all platforms. And this Stay Safe Online will be a crowdsourcing mechanism also to get to know from like how various citizens in various countries, they are staying safe online. And when people start sharing this on the social media with the hashtag stay safe online, the best techniques of staying safe or preventing bullying or preventing stalking or preventing any child pornography or any kind of thing will be made available to the global community. And G20 will become a great platform to share the best practices in which we can secure our cyber infrastructure, as also ensure the citizens are made aware for staying safe online.
Dr. Sharma, in 2019, as far as the G20 summit is concerned, India, South Africa and also Indonesia did not sign the Osaka Declaration on cross-border data transfers. There has been a lot of concern over the years worldwide on personal data protection, but now a personal data protection framework or law is in the pipeline. So do you think that India will be articulating its stand this time around during the summit?
Absolutely, but I will not be kind of risking the, how the bill will become a law.
I understand, yeah.
Time. So therefore, I will not say much about that, but let me add that the current form of the personal data protection bill, which is there, I had an occasion to go through it, and I find it to be extremely well articulated bill, which basically strikes a balance between the privacy, safety, security, and also the responsibility of various players in the digital ecosystem. So I think it's a very balanced kind of articulation of our policies. Obviously, it will have to go through the parliamentary, process, and then it will become a law. But I'm very sure that the kind of experience which we have had in the digital technologies and technologies at a scale, at interoperable technologies, at the digital public goods, take for example the digital identity. Now, digital identity is extremely unique in the world, in the sense that it is not only kind of unique identity, it also provides the authentication services. And as you know, we have done about 71 billion authentications thus far in the last 8 or 9 years that Aadhaar has been in existence. And we have used it for multiple type of service deliveries. Similarly, in the UPI, we have had about 7 billion transactions last month. So I think, and again, now we are, using it for various other domains, which is basically the health or digital commerce. For example, we have the open network for digital commerce. We have the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which again seeks to leverage these foundation building blocks and also build on top of that. So I think this is actually a very, very unique experience and an extremely unique way of doing things, extremely democratic, extremely open, and extremely based on open APIs. So it is essentially we create the framework and the rest of the ecosystem partners, they basically build solutions and also innovate around those things. And that model is actually extremely efficient model in the sense that it actually utilizes the scalability of the government system or framework and also the innovation and agility of the private sector. So this is something which I think we must share with the world, because I think there are large number of countries, as our Honorable Prime Minister was saying, that there are only 50 countries which have got the efficient payment system in the world. There are not many countries which have got digital identity like what we have got. So I think there is a lot which India can share with the world. And obviously my point is not that we know everything. Obviously there will be experiences of the other countries of the world which they will be able to share with us. So I think we have to learn, and therefore G20 will be an extremely useful platform for us to share our experience and knowledge, and also learn from others as to what is there which we can adopt and implement.
Mr. Singh, the third priority is building a digitally skilled global workforce. Now, skilling as far as the digital realm is concerned is something which has to be in continuum. There has to be reskilling, there has to be upskilling periodically. So what will be India's action plan for G20 and for future?
India is regarded as one of the major IT trained workforce suppliers in the world. Like most countries in the West and across the world depend on Indian companies on one hand, and number two, IT trained personnel from India who run their IT projects. So we have a huge kind of strength in this sector, and when it comes to the future of work, especially with technologies like artificial intelligence and all coming in, there will be a massive need to upskill and reskill the entire workforce. Well, many of the jobs that we know, as we know today, they might become redundant, but many more job opportunities will come in. So we do have some experience of implementing this. The Future Prime Skills platform that we runs programs and runs training sessions in all the emerging technologies, whether it's IoT, blockchain, artificial intelligence. So this experience of running that, plus flagging it as an important concern from the world and learning from other countries with regard to how they are tackling this, how they are addressing the issue of digital skilling, how we can ensure that the students and the youth in the tier 2, tier 3 cities can also benefit from the revolution that's coming in with data science and artificial intelligence. So this will be our focus area. There are many countries who have done very well in this field. So we will share what we have done. Plus, at the same time, we will learn from what other countries have done and how they are addressing the challenges of future of work, how they are addressing the challenges of skilling, reskilling, upskilling.
Dr. Sharma, very quickly, how relevant do you think is the G20 Digital Innovation Alliance as far as bridging the global digital divide is concerned?
Absolutely, it's very, very critical, very important, because as again the Prime Minister was saying, that there are many which actually do not have a serious problem of digital divide, and our country is no exception. I'm not saying that, only thing is that we have been able to resolve that digital divide on the basis of an inclusive digital technology solutions which we have given. For example, in COVID, again going back, while people were making registrations and getting online appointments, there were other people who were just going, walking into the vaccination centers and getting the jabs. And they were also becoming digital thereafter. Their whole transaction was becoming digital. Right. So basically, I think digital divide is a serious problem in the world. And I think some of the technologies and some of the philosophies behind technologies, because understand there are technologies and technologies. There are technologies, which create monopolies. For example, look at the social media, look at the other, kind of technologies. They create monopolies. That winner takes all is actually the dominant kind of theme which has been there in the digital world thus far. What India has done is breaking that, broken that thing, and that has happened because from a platform approach now we are going to what is called a network approach, and that network approach basically becomes a very, very democratic way, reducing the entry barriers, and therefore works in the way of reducing the digital divide also in the world. And I think that is something which is very, very important. The digital alliance is extremely important in that context, where we will be able to share some of our experiences, and again will be, as I said, we will be able to learn from the world also. But I am very sure, I have kind of interacted with many countries in the world, especially COVID. And I realized that, the kind of structure and the kind of unique architecture which India has built for its digital public goods is really the one which will break the barriers of the silos and break the barriers of entry barriers and become highly democratic infrastructure.
Absolutely. So India will be taking its digital transformation success story to the world, and this is going to be a mutually learning experience as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh and Dr. Sharma, for joining us with your insights on India at G20.
Thank you very much, Murmur. Thanks.
Pleasure. And with that, we come to the close of this edition of India at G20. Thanks for watching.